From Idaho's News Channel 7, this is Viewpoint.
Well, it is Sunday, so you know what that means. It's time for Viewpoint, Idaho's longest-running public affairs program. Today, we're actually talking about my hometown of Meridian, Idaho, the incredible growth it's seen, its growing pains, and what's next for the most dynamic city in Idaho and maybe even America. And who better to talk about all this than Meridian's Mayor Robert Simison. Mayor, welcome. Thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Justin. And I love that intro. Most dynamic city in America. Love that.
You can use that. Just give me a quarter every time you say it. So again, I grew up in Meridian. It was less than 10,000 people in 1990. Not to call myself a little old, but I am a little. It's maybe, I don't know, 15 times that now. A lot. What's been the reason for Meridian's explosive growth? And then what do you tell people when they're like, man, can you stop growth?
Well, you know, if I got to go back to Mayor Tammy, because Mayor Tammy always blamed West Ada School District for their growth.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, West Ada provided a great educational experience for people's kids, and they had a lot of different opportunities. So she always liked to blame West Ada.
Blame or give credit, but
for the growth of Meridian. And I think that was true in a lot of sense. And if you look back to when I moved to the area, it was definitely true for my wife. You know, she really wanted to have our kids in the West Ada School District. But I think it became much more than that over time. You know, people wanted a safe place, and Meridian is always, you know, routinely ranked in the top 10 safest cities in Idaho, especially the largest, safest city. Our quality of life and our park system that just grew over the last 30 years as the city has grown during that time frame. So people really said, yeah, this is where I want my family to be. And we really embraced that family-focused atmosphere and lifestyle in Meridian. So when people think about where they want to raise their family, they think of Meridian. And when they're outside the area and they're looking to move here, that's what they focus on. And they see those stats, they see education, they see safety, they see quality of life. And Meridian comes to the top of their list very, very quickly. Now, as far as growth, as far as like, how do you slow it down? Well, the first thing I do, I have to educate people. I'm the mayor. The mayor doesn't actually vote on issues involving growth unless there's a tie. Our city council is the one who is there making the land use decisions about, you know, when annexations and what type of annexations occur. And I have a voice in that process, but ultimately my job is to make sure the services our citizens expect are delivered cost effectively, efficiently, and meet their expectations. And that's what I focus on. I try to tell our community members, as long as growth is happening, I'm going to continue to be focused on trying to deliver services.
Well, you can't like put up a roadblock, you know, there on I-84 at the Meridian exit being like, hey, like we're closed, no other people coming. And really it's, I guess, not that you're a victim, the city, but somewhat a victim of your own success. The fact that you are exactly what you talked about continues to draw people from not only outside of the state, but from inside of the state. And in many ways, it's proof, sort of a badge of honor. It's like, well, yeah, people keep wanting to move to Meridian. We are what we are, right?
Absolutely. And I think that even over time, as we become more of a full-service city with the jobs that come to our community, so people can live, work, and raise their family all in that community. They don't have to go in different areas. All those things contribute to the success that we're having. And for some, well, that success becomes more than they want. And they might move to a different area in the state or in the valley, but that opens up the opportunity for the next family to come in who was still looking for that, and they're okay with that. So we're a continuing, changing, evolving community that has always been people from Boise moving to Meridian, people from outside the area moving here, and we're just constantly, you know, providing that experience for the families that want it.
What do you miss most about what Meridian was when you first moved there?
You know, it's really it's the experience, you know, and that goes to how old my kids were when we first moved into Meridian and what we did with our family. You know, that time, financially, you weren't making as much money. My wife was working part-time and she was going to school. So going to the parks is how we spent our time. We spent our time at movie night in the parks, or, you know, just going and enjoying the swings. A lot of those family-focused things when your kids are younger is the Meridian of my early parts. And so I do miss those family kinds of activities. But that's really kind of, I think, for me, a very personal side of what I miss from a different time, not necessarily a reflection of how it's changed.
Yeah, for me, it was a little easier to get around. We'll talk about traffic a little later, maybe. But something that wasn't there when I was growing up was what you just talked about, like a lot of jobs. It was more of, not totally this, but more of a bedroom community. But now industry there and, jobs, places to go, more of a destination. What do you necessarily not miss about what Meridian was? What, I guess, change, what evolution in your town are you most proud of?
Let's tell a quick little story.
Okay.
When we hired a gentleman named Ken Corr to be our community liaison at one point in time, he came in and part of his PowerPoint presentation for the job was he showed a sidewalk that wasn't finished. It had one of those to be continued in the future components. I feel like we've done a lot of work over the last 20 years to create those connections, working with our partners in roads to see roads that have improved. I live in South Meridian. Mountain View has been open for over 20 years, and the road next to Mountain View was just improved 2 years ago. Those are the things that I don't miss, is like incomplete infrastructure, the farm to market roads that are now becoming, our 10-foot detached sidewalk so that people can ride their bikes to get places along those roads. Before, you didn't have an option. You had to ride in the road if you wanted to go up to Mountain View from South Meridian. Those are the things I no longer miss because we're seeing those changes take place in I think, a positive way.
Speaking of growth, you have called for the legislature to fix the funding formula for cities so that growth can pay for growth. What is not happening right now as far as that goes with the funding formula?
Well, yeah, I wish I had a better understanding of why the legislature, some of members were so committed to not allowing growth to pay for itself, because that's been what Meridian has always been focused on. We use impact fees to pay for infrastructure and things like parks and fire stations and police stations. These are dollars that pay for the people to operate those facilities. And that's why I think people, when you really look at what is not being paid for by growth, we're not being able to add more positions to our city services, more police officers as necessary, or to help fund a new community center that's opening, because the legislature isn't allowing us to retain the full 100% of growth costs that come through the funding formulas. That's the challenge that Meridian and other cities are facing, is how do we fund services when costs keep going up and the money we receive from the state for growth is not keeping up.
Staying on the legislature, you said they put new limitations during your State of the City address, put new limitations on city and neighborhood input for large residential projects. Other cities have simply said, hey, they're trying to write our city code for us. We don't need that. What exactly is going on there?
Well, this is some in the legislature's attempt to address the affordability issue.
Okay.
They're saying that if we take away some of the local decisions through this process and you allow smaller homes to be built in starter home subdivisions, that we're going to see the prices of homes, go down through that process. And what they're really doing is they're taking the residential voice out of the equation. They're putting an unknown infrastructure impact onto communities. If you have an area that was planned for a low density, maybe 3 homes per acre, and all of a sudden you're putting 1,500 square feet lots in place, your density increases, which has an impact to your roads, your schools, and in a lot of cases, our sewer. We model sewers based upon certain density levels. And if you have a situation where you have a bunch of starter home subdivisions come in, it could really impact your sewer modeling, which either means A, someone else who's planning to develop a property further down the line is prohibited from doing that, or B, if they've already have an entitlement to do so, who's going to pay for that new sewer infrastructure that's necessary to serve people way down the line? And those are the things that I don't think our legislature truly understands about when you're talking about delivering services and the impacts. But ultimately, you already mentioned it. We have people that don't want growth to happen, or if they want it to happen, they want to have an input. the legislature's essentially, for these starter home subdivisions, eliminated the input from our residents to these conversations.
Do you think these things will get changed, fixed, altered in this upcoming legislative session?
I think that there'll be a continued conversation.
Okay.
I know that some legislators that I've spoken to, once they learn more, they are concerned about the things that were put into place. But are they willing to change it? I can't answer that question. And we'll have a different legislature with people that weren't there the last time. You know, there's going to be turnover and change, and we'll have to see what the new legislature thinks about these issues.
You also had to succeed again, a very popular mayor. Mayor Tammy, you did get her endorsement, but was that a lot of pressure on you?
Well, absolutely. I mean, when you follow not just a boss, but a friend, and, you know, to your point, she was very popular with the community.
Yeah.
And, you know, when that happens, you're not the same person. You know, sometimes people expect that, but you're your own unique person, and trying to let people know what you stand for and what you're about, it can be a challenge because you also don't want to do any disservice to your predecessor,
right? Yeah.
Through that process. But you know, we've I think managed it very well. We remain good friends and in communication and talk on things. And I really value her and what she's meant to the city of Meridian and what she's meant to me personally and professionally.
Brilliantly said. Well, we talked a lot about change and growth that Meridian has seen, but what's next for Meridian? That's next on Viewpoint.
These are just a few of the over
Welcome back to Viewpoint. We were talking about the city of Meridian, and we're talking about it with the mayor of Meridian, Robert Simison. How appropriate is that? All right, let's talk about what's next for Meridian. A new community center set to open in late 2027. Talk to me about that. What is that going to offer?
Well, it's going to offer that additional space that our residents need, and as we continue to grow for our recreational programs and offerings. To start with, it's going to be in the expanded Settlers Park, one of our most popular centrally located parks. It's going to come with more parking that will greatly benefit both the community center as well as the baseball fields, which are extremely popular right there, and bring a dog park to the area. But the facility itself is going to really give an opportunity for the community to come and take classes. There'll be a kiln in it, so different types of offerings that we haven't had before. But it's where they'll be able to do a CPR class. It's being built in conjunction with our fire department. They're going to have our public education there, located out of that facility. And so it's going to be this great location for people to come and have access to space, teach classes, learn a new skill, who knows, maybe watch a play in the small open space area that's got an elevated. It's not really a
amphitheater.
It's indoors.
Oh, okay,
It's just a little stage inside of a large space. But yeah, just some stuff that we currently don't have available in our community.
And did you say kiln?
Yeah, pottery. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
It's going to have a lot of cool stuff. So also, the Linder Road overpass, just about done.
Well, it's going to open up in 27 as well. So 27 is a big year
for y'all.
For everything that's going to happen in Meridian.
Yeah.
And it's going to be something that's been a priority for the last 10 years at least to have those overpass. But really, it's going to be the equivalent to what happened with Locust Grove.
Right.
And Locust Grove opened right about the time I started working for the city back in 2007. And this will have a lot of the same impacts where we're going to see offloading of cars from 10 Mile and Meridian Road so that those people that just want to go north and south in Meridian that don't need to access the interstate, it'll give a great alternative for them.
Yeah.
And you look at the people that are on the south side of the interstate, we have a fire station there. They're going to be able to serve the north part of the interstate, which helps alleviate some of the challenging area to get fire service to in a very quick, efficient manner.
Yeah.
It also allows Republic Services, who picks up our trash, West Ada with all their buses, Amazon with their delivery vehicles.
Yeah.
All those people get to avoid those other roads I just talked about to be able to use Linder to be able to access the south side of the interstate. It's going to be a huge benefit for our community that I don't think most people really understand yet.
Yeah, I think they will hopefully appreciate it for a little while, and then they'll be asking for another overpass. But that's okay. That's just how growth works. Speaking of traffic, I thought about this the other day, and you reminded me the last time we talked that some of the biggest roads in the city of Meridian are actually not yours. So the interstate, that's a federal road. Eagle Road, state highway. Chinden is even a state highway. Meridian Road, also a state highway. So I'm guessing you get normal complaints about traffic. What do you tell folks? That it's like, hey, not my problem?
Well, we try not to say it's not my problem.
Right.
We do have a transportation commission that's there. If there's issues that we can take to our transportation commission, because our transportation commission has representatives from Ada County Highway District, who does have all the other roads.
Right.
Idaho
Yes.
Transportation Department, who has our state highways, where we can have a conversation. So depending upon what the challenge is, we might be able to find a way to help them address that. When they just want a new road built, that's a little harder, but that's the relationships that we spend a lot of time investing in our relationships and making sure it's clear what our priorities are to our partners. Mm-hmm. And that's why Linder Road Overpass got built, was because ITD and ACHD both understood how important this was to the city. And myself and City Council, we were all clearly focused on achieving that outcome. But that's what it takes. Relationships that I talked about from back in DC in order to get the things done, and our community to stand up when things need to be achieved. But right now, financially, our transportation partners are in similar situation to everyone else, trying to have enough money to pay for the road improvements that are necessary, and they're getting more expensive all around the valley, and they're getting bigger in other parts of the valley where they're looking for roads over rivers. Those are not cheap.
Right, yeah. A normal road isn't cheap. Building bridges, overpasses, all that stuff really isn't cheap. You have had a long vacant eyesore right across the street from City Hall. You've had to look at it for a number of years, formerly Union 93. But now it's official, it's going to be Heritage Square. Boise had the Boise Hole for a while. They finally filled that up with a great spot. How nice is it going to be to not only have something there, but something that sounds like it's going to be pretty cool?
Yeah, I mean, to your point, the same developer who worked on the Boise Hole is involved in this project. So having people have an experience at taking challenging projects and move them forward, we couldn't be more excited for not just Alquist, but Pacific Companies, who's also coming in and being part of the solution. Two people they're committed to this valley's success, quite frankly, and Meridian. But what it's really going to do is it's going to continue that evolution of our downtown that's been occurring over the last 2 decades. We've seen some new residential be built. We've seen a lot of people come and renovate buildings and bring great restaurants and nightlife into that area. But this is going to continue that effort. It's going to bring jobs into the area as well, parking, so that we can make sure that those are not issues moving forward, so that it allows Meridian to continue to be an easy place for people to get to, come and go out and have a great time or work in our downtown.
Yeah. Well, and again, we talked about that Meridian has become a destination now, that people aren't driving past to get to Boise. So, yeah, you're going to need that parking, I guess. In your address, you talked about police using technology to protect the public. A lot of anti-flock ears may be perked up when I said that Meridian does not use flock cameras, but there are license plate reader cameras. Can you talk about that technology? Is that what you were talking about here, police using technology to better protect the public, or something else?
Well, I was talking about other things, but it was still the same vendor, frankly, Axon.
Oh, really?
We use Axon for our license plate readers,
Okay.
and for that purpose. And it is different from flock. It's a closed system. It's not sharing the data. We own the data. So we have a lot more control over how it's utilized. But Axon has been a partner with the city for many years. It's our police all have cameras on them, which is an important part of, I think, accountability for everyone involved. And I think something that was initially probably really questioned by many, but I think it's now become something that is appreciated by most. Mm-hmm. And but as Axon has grown and developed, one of the things that they've done is their body-worn cameras now are able to take what they see to help our police officers write reports. That saves our police officers time.
Yeah.
This technology is a force multiplier if you really want to look at it, in the sense that it has them doing less of things that are not on the streets, so it can help them write the reports, and they can fill it in and make sure it's accurate. But then they can invest that time back doing the work that only a police officer can do, that technology can't. But if we want the safest city in Idaho, or the safest large city, these are the types of things that help our police officers do what they needs to be done to keep our community as safe as it can be for our residents.
Yeah, keep them in the community there. And transparency, but also accountability. Also, I mean, if their memory is anything like mine, I'm like, oh gosh, what did that person say? What happened when? It's like, I'll just go to the videotape. You have some other priorities, including establishing a Meridian Auditorium District. What would that do?
Well, many areas around the country have an auditorium district,
Mm-hmm.
Where you go and you stay in a hotel and you pay a fee at the hotel that helps support that convention space that you're going to. And that's what we're really looking at, is an opportunity for an auditorium district to create a space that our community can utilize. We really like to talk about, like, high school graduations, how everyone right now does a graduation, they got to go to downtown Boise, because we don't have a space that can hold 5,000 people in Meridian.
Right.
An auditorium district could help us solve that issue. We have a lot of families that travel outside the area to go to a volleyball or basketball tournament. It's the auditorium's vision that this space would be able to host those. So it's one less trip our families have to take out of the area, and it contributes to our economic development for our businesses who provide those things that families who come in need, whether it's a hotel room, whether it's going out to eat, or maybe it's going to pick up a new volleyball because they just spiked the last one too hard. Whatever the case may be, but that's what the auditorium district is really able to provide if we can get it established.
You also talked about wanting to expand healthcare education in Meridian. What would that look like?
Well, I really want Meridian to be the healthcare epicenter for Idaho. We have St. Luke's right there, the busiest emergency room. They've got a large piece of property, and I think that they have a vision for what that can be over time. But the education comes from the relationship. We already have ICOM, which
Right.
is the state's only medical school, and they're adjacent to Idaho State University, who has their graduate programs right there, and they have a collaboration. ISU has 27 acres just to the north. It's a vacant field that they have plans to develop a college campus on that space. And so if we want to see our medical needs met, as we grow as a state, we need to have more doctors. We need to have all the healthcare fields filled that we can, which means we need to have more opportunities for people to learn and grow. And right now, it can be a challenge for people to come to Meridian, try to do a graduate program, and find a place to live. So there might be residences for people to, or dorms for people to stay at when they go to college. But we need to work with our partners, with ISU, ICOM, and the state police, who are right there with their track for their evac track to maybe help it find a new home so that we can help ISU grow over the long term.
Real quick, in about 10 seconds, I keep asking local mayors, what's your demonym? What are people from Meridian called? Meridianites?
I think they're Meridianites, but we like the hashtag #MyMeridian so we can all be part of that community.
Either one is okay. Mayor Robert Simison, thank you so much for your time. We're going to wrap up Viewpoint right after this.
At Consumer Cellular, my job is to help you save
All of our time for this week's Viewpoint. We'll see you right back here next Sunday morning for another Viewpoint.